So maybe if I ask more than 3 very short questions, I get more than 3. We'll see. Thank you so much, Minister, for making the time and being here today in these really sometimes very challenging times where things seem to be moving from minute to minute, from day to day. So I wanted to ask you, with my first question, what keeps you up at night?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me, and I'm delighted to be here. When I try to answer only yes or no, then we probably will finish in 3 minutes. So, depending on your length of your question. But I try to sleep at night, of course. But the reality is that my paycheck consists from one thing: to prevent the war in Estonia. Or the second is that if there is a necessity to fight for Estonia and then our independence, then we are ready for this. So these are the main pillars for me. And unfortunately, we cannot change our neighbor. So Russia has been, is, and will be our neighbor. And of course, that means that especially today, after yesterday, the situation has been changed. And we have to all think about the security guarantees, what we can provide to each other in NATO, more in Europe. So we will take more responsibility. So probably, today also, the night was quite restless. So it's going to be a tough 4 years, maybe even more. And we all have to be ready for this. And we all know that Putin is smelling the weakness at the moment from the West. And in general, what we have to understand is that it's not about Estonia, or it's not about Poland or Latvia or Lithuania. It's about the West. It's about the collective West. And when they want to test us, then they will do it. And they don't need to start full-scale war with NATO. They just need to have a bite. And when in this moment, or if in this moment, NATO and Europe will not react collectively, then NATO or Putin has achieved his goal and dismantled the Western collective defense. So this is what we have to be aware of, that there is no necessity to go to the full-scale war. And that all started already in 2007 with the first full-scale cyber attack. And since that, and then 2007 here in Munich, the famous speech of Putin. So we have to look from the time perspective that it all goes on. And the difference between the Russia and the West is that we have new parliament in every 4 years. Putin is there since 2000 and will be, well, we don't know for how long, but will be. So that means that, he has time. And the only option to bring him behind the table so that he's pressured is that he needs to understand that the time is not in his side. But so long we have to understand that he will test us all with the hybrid attacks, with the cyber attacks, with different types of manipulations on the political level, in the cyber field. So we face it a lot. So DDoS attacks for you. So this is our everyday business. So we've used to that. So it's nothing new.
So in this changing threat landscape, so to say, and you already laid out many of the threats which we are currently facing, we need a different kind of defense strategy, right? A comprehensive defense strategy, which brings also in the civil sector, the military sector. What would be, from your point of view, a better comprehensive defense strategy in the EU, which we currently have?
Well, you cannot have more defense without money. So this is something we have to understand, that but there are two things. First, even of course we have to see what will be the response in the capitals, because the capitals have to make the political decisions. And when you are not making the political decisions, then you will not have more defense. Secondly, when you have more, let's say you have more money, then you need also the industry to cope with that. You have to have the industry who is ready to absorb this money and to provide these capabilities and to provide this equipment or whatever. So to change the attitude. So it all starts from the mindset. And when of course, we understand that, you have elections here in Germany in 1 week. It takes to form a coalition 3 more months, probably. And we don't have the very safe situation in France. So the Parliament and the Élysée are maybe stepping different steps, or walking different steps. Britain is facing a huge fiscal deficit. The difference between Russia and Europe is that, in Russia, you basically don't have the social services. So we are putting 50% or more of our budgets to social services. So you have to reset the mindset of us, and to say that to invest 5% today during the peacetime to defense is still much less to spend 25 or 30% of your GDP during the wartime, what Ukraine is doing at the moment. So when we don't understand that, then we will all be at risk. And as I said, attacking one is attacking all, and Putin needs to start the full-scale war with Europe.
So the EU, at least in the past, has not been a very active, fast geopolitical actor. And there are different, not just because of the elections, but also different sometimes interests and also threat perceptions between the EU member states. But to be capable and to be really resilient, we need this united Europe, right? So what would you say, how do we get there?
Well, I will give an example from the healthcare. When you're a bit obese or overweighted, and you're not putting so much interest to your health condition and heart condition, then probably you will do that after the first stroke. So we have not had a stroke yet, unfortunately, or maybe also fortunately, but the reality is that people are changing their behavior, quitting alcohol or quitting smoking after they really see that it might kill them. So it's the same with defense. And when you take the defense spendings that in Eastern Europe, in Baltic states, Poland, we're close to 4, Poland even above 4, and we are thinking already on going to 5. And further you go from the Russian border, the less you see defense spendings. So understand that it's a long way from Moscow to Lisbon, but in the political term, this is just one step. And the missiles are flying quite quickly. So to have the Iskander flying from Moscow to Lisbon, it takes just maybe 5 minutes longer than to fly from Moscow to Berlin. So this is why the reset of the mindset is necessary. And when we are not doing that, then of course we will face a lot of new problems. But again, it all starts from the political leadership. When you don't have the political leadership, when you don't have the decisions made in the capitals, but the politicians have to explain to the societies, because also in Germany, I look at the debate at the moment during the elections, and defense is not the first topic. Migration is. And of course, also yesterday the attack here, so all the condolences to the victims, but nevertheless, this is the case. But the reality is that the existential threat is a military threat from Russia. So, but let's see how it goes.
And you have been a politician yourself, a parliamentarian, and you talk to your constituencies. I guess to your constituency, because you are so close to the threats, you don't need to do any persuasion that threats need to be recognized. But what would you recommend our politicians for a good communication strategy?
Be honest. This is the first rule of PR. Just say how the things are. You can mask with everything, but at the end of the day, you can run, but you cannot hide. And when you're not facing the threat, and when you're not saying that, existentially, we might talk about social services, or we might talk about the agriculture and spending money to raise the tulips. But at the end of the day, as also Mark Rutte said a couple of months ago, that when we're not investing more into defense, then we have to start taking Russian courses, Russian language courses, and this is the reality. That we have to understand that, and just to say and then to speak, and of course as Fred Zakaria in his famous book The Future of Freedom said that politics, that's the question, to lead or to follow. So less populism, more pragmatism.
I started out with asking you what keeps you up at night. I will end with what makes you wake up every morning with optimism and keep on going.
Well, my family. But no, actually, as a person, I'm an optimist, and I really do hope that the glass is always full, half full, not half empty. And I believe that, and I've seen from our own history that when the situation is very, very bad, then we can come together. Either we sing ourselves to our freedom, or we are standing together, because 100 years back, a bit more, Estonia won its independence war against Russia. When we started this war, and by the way, we lost in 2 years more troops than Ukraine has lost at the moment in 3 years, proportionally. But when we started this war, then we had 2,000 troops, and not all of them had the rifle. But we won this war, also thanks to British Navy who came to us, also thanks to the Finnish volunteers, but we won. And that shows that, even the small bee can kill an elephant. So let's keep that spirit, and then I really do hope that we can have a lot of good people around us who can make the decisions and not be afraid. So the Russians are not the ones who we need to be afraid of.
Well, thank you so very much. What makes me hopeful is that we do have defense ministers like you in the European Union. Thank you so much for being with us today. A big applause to the minister.